Hi, Bother Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. I'm still sick, and I was doom scrolling Twitter while in bed, because, that's always fun, right? And I saw something that has forced me to get out of bed and record today's video. Because apparently already, some motherfuckers are trying to manufacture consent for a small nuclear war. Now, these stories, as you can tell if you look closely, they're from 2011, right? So we're like over a decade behind the times when this stuff was written, but it's still a problematic thing that people would A, ever suggest that, and B, that those stories are starting to resurface and recirculate now. I wonder why. A small nuclear war would stall global warming. Could a small nuclear war reverse global warming? No! Why is anyone having this fucking conversation? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you legit fucking kidding me? A small nuclear war. So that's not how this stuff works at all, right? That's the entire concept of MAD, right? Mutually assured destruction. It's not like someone saying, "Oh, well, you can have a little nuclear war as a treat. Let's just set off some fucking nukes and in a war, right? To maybe stall global warming." And do you want to know how I know that all that is fucking bullshit? Because there's someone tried to think about this somewhat rationally in terms of, maybe as I know it's drastic, but maybe to, stall climate change, we detonate nukes in very select and remote, uninhabited corners of the country, and we go into detail about, okay, where's the fallout going to track? It's going to be in here, so that's a dead zone. That's fine. So we'll detonate 2 here and 1 here over this part of the ocean that's going to spread, and we just avoid shipping, and shipping almost never goes through here anyway. That would be an actual desperate plan, right? But instead we have just terrible goddamn people in the companies they work for saying, could a small nuclear war maybe be the solution here? Obviously, they're only putting this out with Russia and Ukraine on the mind, right? It's not like people are saying, what if, we had a small nuclear war with North Korea, perhaps, right? Or a small nuclear war with China. It's about Russia, which again goes into, I'm kind of feeling like I'm being proven increasingly correct based on yesterday's video talking about how this is the West fundamentally trying to break Russia as a perennial thorn in the side of the bigger global powers, trying to eliminate Russia as a third pole of global politics. So that's very disconcerting. But what's also very concerning is the fact that people are suggesting a small nuclear war and trying to tie it up in the fucking ribbon of green economics or some horse shit. It's absolutely terrifying. Well, we all agree climate change is a problem, right? So what if we maybe just started a small nuclear war, even though that's not how nuclear wars are theorized to happen because of the concept of mutually assured destruction, right? But maybe that's how we get a greener future. It's no! We get a greener future by ending our terrible consumption habits, which means we have to end capitalism, and we have to make hard choices and actual sacrifices, which in the, immediate gratification economy, or whatever you want to call it, convenience, whatever, that means we have to change that. We have to fundamentally make changes in society, which, as we've seen thanks to the pandemic, which is still ongoing, by the way, we are seeing that is a very difficult thing to bring everyone on board to do. In fact, thanks to roughly about a third of the population, which happen to be conservative for the most part, that's not going to fly with them, and it creates a fucking culture war aspect, which we've seen before with the climate crisis in terms of, climate change doesn't even exist, and it's not even going there today. But the whole thing, right, is that some people are trying to suggest, obviously with the Russo-Ukrainian war going on, maybe we should have a small nuclear war. And that's not how shit works. You want to know how we get over all these various problems? We tax the shit out of the rich who have made billions, if not at this point, trillions off of the pandemic while forcing workers to die. Because apparently I need to remind people, 6 million fewer humans are on this earth thanks to the greed at hand as we've tried to deal with this pandemic. And those same greedy fucks are putting out the disinformation to everyone that is making people take horse paste and believing that like fish cleaners are going to do the trick, and people taking Lysol and shit in the early stages. Like, it is all so avoidable if we did the right thing, but we aren't led by people who are interested in doing the right thing. And what they do day in and day out is make it harder for those of us who want to do the right thing and are trying to do the right thing. They make it harder for us every goddamn day to do that through a legal avenue, while empowering police and military forces and surveillance, which then means, oh, look, you're actually trying to organize a nonviolent action or a revolution? Too bad. Cops are still going to beat your ass, and we're going to freeze your assets and throw you in prison. And people on the left, i.e. really just like liberals at this point, and even people on the right, let's be real, will clap at the further erosion of civil liberties and democracy, so long as it's not their in-group, right? Because that's what all these bastards in the bigger, like, political class, media class, whatever you want to call it, that's what they have done by fostering all these culture wars and like social divisions, because can't have a fucking class war, right? Because then people on both the left and the right would wake up and realize, you know, the people who own the media writ large are terrible and part of the ruling class and need to be absolutely removed from the equation in terms of power and influence. It's not just the billionaires, right? What's happening as a result is that fewer and fewer people are able or willing to see the other side. And so what ends up happening is the further retrenchment into spheres, you know, those lovely bubbles people love to throw around on the internet without realizing most people are themselves within some kind of bubble. And as a result, it's just, oh yeah, let's clap. Like, we're seeing it now with so many people on whatever weird side of the political equation they are. They're throwing their full support, like unconditional support, behind Ukraine or Russia. And it's like, as I've pointed out before, there's bad elements at play throughout all of this, and running the show behind all of it is the fucking capitalist class. Please pay attention here, right? But the media has had centuries to perfect this art at this point. And so unfortunately, it's doing all its wonders in all the different demographics as we further and further mine the, like, mountain that is human data and algorithms, and try and target people so that the capitalist class can make even more money while paying zero taxes, while the situation gets worse and the planet continues to die and people continue to suffer, all for their whims and the best they can offer, while, you know, trying to manufacture consent for a small nuclear war, by the way, is, yeah, well, you know, maybe this could solve climate change, because we know people care about climate change, right? And people are standing with Ukraine. So what if, you know, maybe, just hear us out here, small nuclear war with, you know, like, they're not saying it out loud, but they're implying, right? A small nuclear war between armed nuclear powers, which have arsenals that can destroy the world hundreds of times over. And the story is never the story that needs to be told, which is the core of yesterday's video and message. That the world is run by rich, greedy sociopaths interacting and trying to best other rich, greedy sociopaths. And we are all the victims of this conflict. And if we ever wake up and realize that and actually organize effectively and protest en masse against this, that whole system of theirs ends, and they can't fathom that idea, which is why they are instead pushing for goddamn nuclear war. And no one is really out there challenging this narrative, because unfortunately, we all consume media, and most of that media is owned by the same handful of terrible companies profiting off of human misery and suffering. And that's what's bothering me today.